What's going on, everyone? It's JJ Zachariason here to do the weekly Q&A, Start Sit Q&A. Sitting here in my East Coast dad's swag. We have daylight saving today. Not the best day if you're a parent for sure with a young one. So a little tired, feeling a little bit different. Just because the kids don't know that the clock's changed. But anyway, let's look at what's going on around football. Most of the actives are active or the projected actives and vice versa. So hopefully there weren't too many surprises. I'd say the biggest surprise is Tua's not playing today. So if you had Tua as a streamer, who I thought he was arguably the top streamer this week with Taysom Hill not starting, get Tua out of your lineup. I think there's a slight downgrade to Mike Gesicki and Jalen Waddle, but I wouldn't go throwing Jalen Waddle out of my lineup unless I have really good options on the bench. I still think he will be plenty involved. Let's kick things off with Chris Moore. Non-PPR, Chuba Hubbard or Cedric Wilson. I would probably go with Chuba, but obviously Christian McCaffrey's back. Sounds like he's going to be on a pitch count. I don't really love either option. I wish I could see your waiver wire and see if I could find someone that I like more off the waiver wire. But yeah, I mean, non-PPR, I'd probably lean Chuba and just hope that he sees more work than we expect. Next question. Hey, JJ, love your work. Shooting for upside in half PPR. Pick two between Devontae Smith, Ayuk, and Savon Ahmed. I still think that Devontae Smith and Ayuk are the plays here. I understand Ahmed, positive game script potential. He's going to see about a third of the team's running back work with Myles Gaskin back there. But I would go with Devontae Smith and Brandon Ayuk. I hate Devontae Smith's matchup. I actually don't mind Brandon Ayuk this week, but I don't love Devontae Smith, but I would still playing over Savon Ahmed. Next one, PPR Bateman or Van Jefferson. We had this one earlier this week on one of our shows, and it's really, really hard. I mean, I could go either direction. I think I'm leaning Van Jefferson here only because, look, they're both the number 3 options technically in the passing game within their offense, where you have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp before Van Jefferson, and then you have Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown ahead of Bateman, and Bateman has that injury. I think that's the tiebreaker. I think that's really what we should utilize as the tiebreaker. Van Jefferson, without Deshaun Jackson over the last couple of weeks, he's been running just as many routes as Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. I think he's a really, really good play this week. I'm going to lean Van Jefferson in a really, really good matchup, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Bateman outscores him. Need a deep quarterback streamer, McCoy, Simeon, or Tyrod. I know it's gross. I'm going to go Tyrod there. Next one says, hi, JJ. Should I pivot from Devontae Smith against the Chargers if I already have Hurts? Really scared of the matchup. It depends on who you'd be playing instead of Devontae Smith, so I can't really answer that one. Half PPR flex, Darrell Williams or Robert Woods. Just given Williams' workload last week, I think I'm going to lean Robert Woods. Woods is in a smash spot against Tennessee this week. Full PPR, Khalil Herbert or Rondale Moore. With David Montgomery likely coming back, I think I'd probably play Rondale Moore, assuming that DeAndre Hopkins is out. Pick one in full PPR. And by the way, I should have mentioned that at the start, but Arizona, Kyler Murray doesn't sound great for him. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't sound great for him either. Pick one in full PPR, CMC, Judy, Higgins. Already got Jonathan Taylored and playing the Colts D, so you need upside. Okay, you need upside. I think CMC still is the guy with upside. We're going to see him probably play limited snaps, but at the same time, among that group, he still probably has the most upside. I like Higgins more than Judy this week, but I'd probably just risk it and play CMC if I'm really needing that upside. Since Tua is out, half PPR, choose two between Waddle, Ayuk, Ahmed, and Devontae Smith. I'm going to go with the first two. I need to start two. Jalen Waddle, no Parker, no Tua. Cole Beasley, Rashad Bateman, groin hand. Okay, so all these things in parentheses. All right, need to start two. Jalen Waddle, Cole Beasley, Rashad Bateman, Van Jefferson, or Brandon Ayuk. I am going to go with, it's in half PPR. I am going to go with Waddle and Beasley. All right, let's go to the next one. Half PPR, Chuba Hubbard, Bateman, or Jacoby Myers. Let's go with Bateman there over Jacoby. I just don't like that Carolina game. It's pretty messy. Just looks like it's going to be low scoring. Should I start CMC coming off IR over any of these guys? Keenan Allen? No. Mike Williams? Probably not. Robert Woods or Nick Chubb? No. I would play all of those guys over CMC today coming off that injury. I think the only iffy one is maybe Mike Williams, given, I don't love the matchup. I like it more for Keenan Allen today. And Mike Williams has not seen the same type of target share over the last month or so, but I'd still play him over CMC. Half PPR, Schultz, Henry, or Freiermuth. I think you got to go with Dalton Schultz. No Blake Jarwin. Dallas is one of the highest implied team totals this week. Yeah, I think it's Schultz pretty easily. And I do like Freiermuth. Full PPR need a wide receiver in flex. Tony, Claypool, Manny Sanders. I think I'm benching Claypool there. Manny's going up against Jacksonville. You know that he can create big plays. And Tony, I think, is like a wide receiver 2 type option with no Sterling Shepard, because that means Tony's going to play in the slot where I think he can thrive. So I'm going to go with Tony and Manny Sanders. A little bit risky, but that's the direction I'd go. JJ, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Quick questions. Full PPR start 2. Bateman, Claypool, or Jacoby Myers. Let's bench Jacoby Myers there. Also, Freiermuth versus Ertz. I kind of want to go Freiermuth just because of the injuries going on for the Cardinals. So let's go that direction. And then obviously you can't play Tua now that he's out. So you got to play Danny Dimes. I don't mind I don't mind Danny Dimes today. Kenny Galladay's back. Kadarius Toney's healthy. You got Darius Slayton on the outside as well in a decent enough matchup. So I actually don't mind Daniel Jones if you're in a pinch and need sort of like a fringe streamer. Half PPR need a wide receiver in flex. Julio, Claypool, Tony, Manny Sanders. Well, I already said I like Manny Sanders and Tony more than Claypool. So I'm going to go with those guys because, Julio Jones is just tough to trust right now. Jerry Jeudy or Tony, I'm going Tony. Jalen Waddle or Myles Gaskin as a flex. Both are the same price on Fanduel. Yeah, usually I lean running back in those situations, and I would go Gaskin over Jalen Waddle over on Fanduel. Half PPR, James Robinson not playing today. Carlos Hyde is playing, or Elijah Mitchell. I would just risk it with Elijah Mitchell. Carlos Hyde's playing Buffalo. He should see a lot of work, but I don't think anyone would be that surprised if he doesn't come close to hitting double-digit points today, whereas Elijah Mitchell is banged up. There's some risk there. Have an alternative ideally, if he doesn't go, but it does sound, they do sound optimistic. I think the risk with Eli Mitchell is that he's going to leave the game early, but what can you really do there? I just don't think Carlos Hyde's spot is good enough to just force him into your lineup. Full PPR, sit one of the following. Devontae Adams, you're not sitting him. Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Cooks, or Jarvis Landry. I will sit Jerry Jeudy there. I love all those guys. I think Jarvis Landry, last season without OBJ, he had about a 28% target share per game, which is really good. Brandon Cooks gets Tyrod back, beatable matchup. And Devontae Adams, you just can't sit him even with Jordan Love under center. 16-team Superflex, Tyrod Taylor or Colt McCoy. I'm going with Tyrod because he's going to bring that rushing juice. With Tua out, who do I start? Quarterback is a wasteland. Teddy Bwater, Love, Darnold, Fields, Tyrod, absolute wasteland. Yeah, that's sort of a wasteland. I'm going to go with Tyrod there. Again, with what he can do with his legs, is a decent matchup. The other guys don't really do it for me. I think Jordan Love is kind of interesting. Fields I worry about because of the matchup against the Steelers pass rush. So I'm going to, and Darnold's in a terrible spot against New England. I'm going to go with Tyrod there. Gaskin or Darrell Williams in full PPR. I think I'm leaning Gaskin there. He has more of his backfield at this point because of Malcolm Brown being out. Darrell Williams, he saw Gore take some work last week. We don't know what that backfield's really going to look like. I'm going to lean Gaskin. I think it's pretty close though. PPR, sit one of Higgins, Booker, or Chase Edmonds. I will sit. I guess I'm sitting Edmonds, but I love Edmonds today too. I think Booker's just in a really good spot. And he saw a lot of good work this past week. Higgins in a full PPR, I think you got to start. But yeah, it's between Booker and Edmonds. I guess I'm going to sit Edmonds just because Booker is bound to see the goal line work, whereas Edmonds is not. DJ Moore and obviously Kyler Murray being banked up. DJ Moore or Robert Woods in full PPR. I'm going Robert Woods. PPR need to sit 2 Sutton, Marvin Jones, McNichols, Boston Scott, Javonte Williams. Okay, so you need to sit 2 of these guys. I'm going to sit Boston Scott and Marvin Jones. I'm just saying that because of the matchup. I think that you could sit Javonte Williams, though. Let's sit Javonte Williams. Let's go with Marvin Jones, Cortland Sutton, and Jeremy McNichols. Tannehill or Cousins? I'd probably go with Cousins. I just like that game environment. Or I like both game environments, actually. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to lean Cousins, but I think it's very, very close. Jarvis over Manny Sanders in PPR. I think he's a lot safer, at least. I would probably go Jarvis over Manny, just because of the goose egg we saw from Manny last week. Let's go with Jarvis Landry. Drop Kenyon Drake for Jeff Wilson. Sure, I think that's fine enough. Love or Tanny. I'm going Tanny over Jordan Love. Hollywood Brown or Stephon Diggs. I have Lamar at quarterback. I like Diggs. If this is a DFS question, I would go Hollywood. If it's a season-long question, I'm going to go Diggs. Pick 2 of 4 in PPR. Boston Scott, Marvin Jones, Chase Claypool, or Mike Williams. I am benching the first 2 there. PPR Pollard or Gamble, David Montgomery plays on Monday. Yeah, the thing is, David Montgomery's matchup isn't even that great. I think I might just play Tony Pollard. Maybe that's not very, maybe people won't agree with that, but I think it's just a little bit safer. And I don't think David Montgomery is like some lock to see his usual workload and to see a great game because of the matchup that he gets against Pittsburgh. Hey, JJ, love the pod. Thanks. 10-team PPR. Need a tight end to stream. Pat Fryermuth or Tyler Conklin. Thanks for everything. I'd probably lean Tyler Conklin. Just love the matchup against Baltimore. They're second in adjusted points allowed to the tight end position. Tyler Conklin is fairly involved in the offense. You know, he's like top 10-ish in routes run at the position. So I'm going to go with Conklin over Fryermuth. I like that game environment more. That's really the tiebreaker. And then he said, or Alberto. I would still go Conklin over Alberto, but I mean, I couldn't fault anyone for playing Alberto. He could go nuts today. If you're over on Fanduel, he should be a lock in your lineup. He's only $4,500. PPR, Tony or A-Rob? The answer is Tony. To play Tony would have to drop Michelle or Tyson Williams. You can drop Tyson Williams. It's fine. I mean, honestly, you could drop A-Rob for Tony. You should be playing Tony over Allen Robinson. Had Tua, who to start now? Bridgewater, Big Ben, Ty God, Jimmy G, Mac Jones. I'm going to lean Tyrod Taylor there because of the rushing upside. Pick one in full PPR, Khalil Herbert, Brandon Ayuk, Boston Scott, Allen Robinson, or Marvin Jones. I mean, I kind of want to go with Brandon Ayuk after seeing what he did last week. Deebo Samuel's banged up. I kind of think Brandon Ayuk is the play there. You can't trust Khalil Herbert with David Montgomery coming back. Allen Robinson, is not doing well, and Marvin Jones is a bad matchup. So I'm going with Brandon Ayuk there. Raiders or the San Francisco defense? I'm going San Francisco, and I am risking Kyler Murray starting. It just sounds like he's not going to. Full PPR, Gaskin or Darrell Williams. I'm favored, so I lean towards needing a floor. I'd say in full PPR, I'd lean Gaskin then. CMC or Amari Cooper. I'd probably go Amari Cooper. We don't know what that workload is going to look like for Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's tough though. I mean, it's your guess is as good as mine at this point. Start two in full PPR, CMC, AP, Dearness Johnson, Pollard, AJ Dillon. I would go with the first two. Start two in PPR, Javonte, Lazard, DPJ, Chenault, or A-Rob. Let's take a risk with Donovan Peoples-Jones, and I'll go with Javonte Williams as well. Next one. Hey, JJ, love your stuff. Claypool, Van Jefferson, or Bateman in half PPR. I went Van Jefferson. I actually already answered this one earlier. I'm going Van Jefferson of this group. Actually, maybe I didn't. I answered Van Jefferson versus Bateman. I'm actually going to go Claypool. I'm sorry. For some reason, I forgot that Claypool was part of this question. I'm going to go with Claypool there. Dillon or Bateman in half PPR. Let's go with Bateman. Pick two. Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian, Taysom Hill. Can't play Taysom Hill because he's not starting, even if they end up using him a lot. I'm just going to go with Darnold and Fields and play it a little bit safe. I just don't know how they're going to utilize the quarterbacks in New Orleans. Half PPR, Kittle or Ertz. I mean, it's a risk to play Kittle. If you need upside, you can see where you're at after the 1 p.m. games. If you need upside, I'd go with Kittle. If you need more of a floor, I'd go with Zach Ertz. It's sort of the way that I would approach that. PPR, pick two running backs, McCaffrey, Eli Mitchell, Khalil Herbert. I'd go with the first two. Galladay or Allen Robinson. I'm going to go with Babytron. Allen Robinson's just not doing anything. CMC or Mike Williams. I think you can go Mike Williams there. David Montgomery or Boston Scott, half PPR. Thanks. I'd probably go Boston Scott because we don't have the information that we need for David Montgomery. Hey, JJ, big fan. Thanks. Had two top available quarterbacks are Daniel Jones and Ryan Tannehill. Which one should I get? Thanks. I'd go Ryan Tannehill. Pick four in half PPR. Judy, Sutton, Bateman, Sanders, Robbie Anderson. Okay. So I will go with Sutton, Bateman, and Sanders. Yeah. I don't want to start two Broncos wide receivers. It's the main reason. And I prefer Sutton over Judy. Darrell Williams or Devontae Booker. I will go Devontae Booker. Start Daniel Jones, Teddy Bridgewater, or Tyrod Taylor. I'm going to go with Danny Dimes. Claypool or Bateman. I am going Claypool. For Vikings. Of Sammy. I don't understand what the rest of that question says. Full PPR, sit one. Darrell Williams, Khalil Herbert, Javonte Williams, Carlos Hyde. I will sit Khalil Herbert with David Montgomery coming back. Half PPR, start one. Javonte Williams, AJ Dillon, or Derek Gore. I am going to start Javonte Williams. Half PPR, flex Dillon or Bateman over Mitchell. I'd probably still play Mitchell, and if there's an inactive, then you can just swap over to AJ Dillon once the games start. PPR, pick one, McCaffrey, Scott, Javonte Williams. I'm going CMC. Full PPR, Carlos Hyde or Javonte Williams. Let's go with Javonte Williams. I know he's splitting a backfield. I just like that game environment more. Hey, JJ, half PPR, risk playing Debo. Also, Waddle or Tony for flex. Yeah, I would still play Debo. He's been one of the best fantasy wide receivers this year. And I would go Tony over Waddle at this point because of the Brissett injury. The Tua injury. Brissett, Love, or Mayfield. I'm going to go with Jacoby Brissett over Jordan Love. I think it's close between the two. You can't start Mayfield, I think, right now. You know what? Let's go Jordan Love over Jacoby Brissett. Let's take a chance. Half PPR, Hyde, Goddard, Bateman, or Javonte. I will go with probably Goddard there. Yeah, let's go Goddard. Full PPR, pick 1, Elijah Mitchell, AJ Dillon, Khalil Herbert. I am going with Elijah Mitchell. Half PPR, pick 1, Gaskin, Waddle, or Claypool. Let's go with Gaskin. Full PPR, Freiermuth or Schultz. I'm going Schultz. Pick 1, full PPR, CMC, Judy, Higgins. Already got Jonathan. I already answered this one earlier. Full PPR, Devontae Smith or Van Jefferson. I'm going Van Jefferson over Devontae Smith. That might be a little controversial. I hate the matchup against the Chargers for Devontae. Morning, JJ. You're the man. Appreciate it. Full PPR, pick 2. Darrell Williams, Renfro, Manny Sanders, or Judy. In a full PPR league, I am going to go with Renfro and Manny Sanders. Full PPR, 2 of 3, Scott, McNichols, or Claypool. Let's bench Boston Scott. Half PPR, start Chase Edmonds or Darrell Williams. If you need more of a floor, Chase Edmonds is your guy. Darrell Williams has a ceiling because he can see goal line work. Half PPR, Julio Jones, Bateman, or Derek Gore. I'm going with Bateman there. Stream Teddy Bridgewater, Tyrod Taylor, or Jacoby Brissett. I am going to go with Tyrod Taylor. Non-PPR pick 3, Judy, Bateman, A-Rob, Edwards, Singletary. Not Singletary. Let's go with the first 3. Next one. Definitely the first 2. Next one. Full PPR, which 2 should I flex? Jacoby Myers, Marvin Jones, Brandon Ayuk, or Rashad Bateman? Let's go with Brandon Ayuk and Bateman, man. I don't love Marvin Jones' matchup. Jacoby Myers obviously doesn't find the end zone / that game is just ugly. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk and Rashad Bateman. PPR pick 1, T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, or Jacoby Myers. That one's easy for me. I'm going T. Higgins. Daniel Jones, Jacoby Brissett, or Tyrod Taylor. I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. Half PPR, start 1 in the flex, Elijah Mitchell, Javonte Williams, or Khalil Herbert. I'm going Elijah Mitchell. I think I've answered this one already. Non-PPR flex, Jerry Jeudy or Tony Pollard. Let's go with Jerry Jeudy there. Pick 1 in, I'd go with Jerry Jeudy still. Pick 1 in a quarter PPR, Boston Scott, Marvin Jones, Tyler Boyd. Let's go Boston Scott, I guess. I don't like any of those options, really. Half PPR, pick a flex, Elijah Mitchell, Jerry Jeudy, Emmanuel Sanders. Let's go with Emmanuel. Oh, man. Let's go with Emmanuel Sanders, I guess. That one's really tough. I'm between him and Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell would be safer if he wasn't injured. It's really the injury that's doing it. So I think Elijah Mitchell has the most upside of those guys. PPR, CMC over Herbert or Javonte Williams. Yes. Hey, JJ, Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow this week. Let's go with Justin Herbert. Tannehill, Cousins, or Danny Dimes. Let's go with, I think I'm leaning Tannehill. I know I said Cousins earlier. It's really close between Cousins and Tannehill. Actually, let's go Cousins over Tannehill, but that one's just, it's tough this week. Waddle, Gaskin, Patterson, Judy, full PPR pick 2. I'm going to go with the running backs there. Waddle or Tony in PPR. I'm leaning Tony just because of the Tua injury. Half PPR pick 1 running back, 1 flex. T. Higgins, Chase Claypool, Javonte Williams, AJ Dillon, Brandon Ayuk. For the flex, I'm going to go with T. Higgins. I'm going to go Chase Claypool and T. Higgins. Half PPR pick 1, Judy, Bateman, or Van Jefferson. I think I already, maybe not. Everyone's saying Bateman or Van Jefferson. It's between Judy and Van Jefferson for me because I've already said that I like Van a little bit more than Bateman. It's really a toss-up, though. All 3 of these guys are sort of in the same tier, so I don't really have a strong preference. I'm sorry. Hey, JJ, full PPR, Elijah Mitchell or Boston Scott. Let's go with Eli Mitchell. Matt Ryan, Tannehill, or Taysom. Let's go with Tannehill. Would you go Mike Williams or DJ Moore? Let's go Mike Williams. Half PPR, Derek Gore, Devontae Smith, or Le'Veon Bell. Let's go Devontae Smith. Half PPR, pick 2 wide receivers, Julio, Claypool, Myers, or Bateman. I'm going to go with Claypool and Bateman. Half PPR, flex Judy or Tony. Let's go Tony. Non-PPR, Herbert or Javonte Williams. Let's go with Javonte Williams. I'm assuming that's Khalil Herbert, not Justin Herbert in like a super flex league. Half PPR, pick a flex, Elijah Mitchell, Jerry Jeudy, Emmanuel Sanders. I already answered that one. Pick 1 in full PPR, Dearness Johnson, Boston Scott, or Sony Michel. Probably Boston Scott. Judy, Devontae Smith, or McNichols, full PPR, pick 1. It's between Judy and McNichols for me there. I think McNichols is a little bit safer. Half PPR, A-Rob or Ayuk. Let's go with Ayuk there. Different league in PPR, Claypool or Manny Sanders. I'm going Manny Sanders. Tyrod Taylor, Jordan Love, or Teddy Bridgewater. 1 point. Okay, all these different things that are scoring limitations. I'm going to go with Tyrod Taylor there. Pick 3 in full PPR, Robert Woods, Mike Williams, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. You're definitely benching Devontae Smith there. Quarterback struggles, no Kyler, and now Tua. Do I start Justin Fields or Ben Roethlisberger, 6 point per touchdown pass? I would go with Ben Roethlisberger over Justin Fields. Half point PPR, Mike Williams or CeeDee Lamb. Let's go with CeeDee Lamb there. PPR, Dan Arnold, Alberto, or Hunter Henry. I'm on the Alberto train this week. Let's go with Alberto. Do you start CMC today? It depends who you'd be playing him over. Full PPR, roll the dice with Kyler Murray or go with Jordan Love, Tyrod Taylor, Daniel Jones, or pick up Colt McCoy. I'd go Daniel Jones. Hey, JJ, Savannah Ahmed, Allen Robinson, or Jeff Wilson Jr., full PPR, I'd go Allen Robinson. Zach Moss or Khalil Herbert, I'm going Zach Moss. PPR, pick 1 to replace Tua, Matt Ryan, Daniel Jones, or Baker Mayfield. Let's go Daniel Jones. Hey, JJ, big fan. Had Tua top available quarterbacks or Daniel Jones and Matt Ryan Tannehill. I already answered this one. I'm going Ryan Tannehill. Hubbard or Pollard in half PPR. Let's go with Tony Pollard. Full PPR, Emmanuel Sanders or Mike Williams. I think I lean Mike Williams, but that one's pretty close. Jerry Jeudy or Boston Scott in full PPR. I would go with Jerry Jeudy. Elijah Mitchell or Khalil Herbert. Let's go Elijah Mitchell. Great job, JJ. Thank you. Full PPR, pick 2, Claypool, Myers, or Bateman. Let's bench Myers there, and then let's go Freiermuth over Ertz. Burrow or Justin Herbert today. I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. Half PPR, Bateman or Moore. I'm leaning Bateman over Moore. Full PPR, Emmanuel Sanders or Jeudy. I'd probably go Manny Sanders. Hey, JJ, love the pod. Need a tight end streamer. Full PPR, Freiermuth or Conklin. Have to drop Tannehill or McNichols. I'd drop Tannehill, I guess, if you already have a quarterback. And I would probably play Conklin over Freiermuth. Alternative for Tua, Tyrod, Brissett, Big Ben, Fields. Yeah, a lot of people were asking about alternatives there. I'd go with Tyrod. PPR, Judy, Higgins, or Sutton. I am going to go with Higgins there. Hi, JJ. Pick 2 of 4 in half PPR. Van Jefferson, Tony, Claypool, Edmonds. This is really close, actually. I'm going to go with Tony and Edmonds, but I like the other 2 options plenty. With Tua out, is Houston a better defense instead of Miami? I'd say no, because Houston sucks. I think what it does is it makes Miami a worse streamer. I dropped Miami for San Francisco earlier today, if that helps you. Quarter PPR, pick 1, Jordan Howard, Tyler Boyd, Adrian Peterson, and Marvin Jones. Let's risk it with Adrian Peterson. Chiefs, Arizona, or Niners defense, please. I'm going to go with the Niners there. They are favorites now, by the way. PPR, pick 1, Boston Scott, Mike Williams, or Marvin Jones. Let's go with Mike Williams. Start 2, Devontae Smith, Bryan Edwards, or Rondale Moore. Don't love those options, but I'm going to go with Rondale Moore and Devontae Smith. Let's go with the rookies. Zach Moss or Edmonds in half PPR. I'm going to lean Edmonds. Ty God, Jordan Love, or Teddy Bridgewater. I will go with Ty God there. Chuba or Rondale in non-PPR. Let's go with Rondale. Half PPR, Gaskin or Manny Sanders. I'm going Gaskin. Start 2 and half PPR. Devontae Smith, Bryan Edwards, or Rondale Moore. I think I just answered this one. I'm going with the rookies. Drop Tua or Ahmed to pick up Tyrod. You can drop Ahmed for him. Pick 2 and half PPR. Woods, Amari, Claypool, Hollywood, Tony. You're playing Hollywood. You're playing Amari. I think those are the directions that you go in. You could go with Woods, Tony, and Claypool, I think, are out. Those are all very, very good options, though. So good job, Bradley. Nice fantasy team. Might not have Murray today. Pick up Garoppolo or Love. I'd pick up Love over Garoppolo. How many Bills is too many Bills in a GPP? Allen, Diggs, Sanders, Moss. I think that's fine if you want to go with the 4 of them. You just got to hope they put up like 35. Connor or Herbert. Let's go with Connor and hope he can find the end zone. Half PPR, need 2 for flex. Mike Davis, Agnew, or Higbee. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to go with the last 2. I'm going to go with Higbee and Agnew. I mean, Agnew at least has a slot matchup this week, but not the best options. Full PPR, need to sit 1, Gaskin, Booker, and Mitchell. Let's just sit Mitchell because we don't know what the injury status will be. Full PPR, CMC off IR, James Conner or McNichols. Let's go CMC. Devontae Booker or Bobby Woods in PPR. And full PPR, I'm going to go with Robert Woods. Galladay, Bateman, Schultz need 2, brother. I'd go with the wide receivers, I think. It's close. I love Dalton Schultz, man. That one's very, very close. If you want to play it safe, I'd go Bateman and Schultz because Galladay hasn't played in so long, but I think the wide receivers are probably the play. That one's tough. Half PPR, Sutton, Claypool, Waddle, Tony, or risk it with Mitchell. If you just need one of those guys, I'd probably play Tony. Full PPR, pick 1, Agnew, Rondell Moore, Bateman, Robbie Anderson. Let's go Bateman. Chubb or Eckler. You got to go with Eckler. I mean, Eckler's just seeing awesome work. Need 3, half PPR. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Judy, Manny Sanders, Waddle, all very good options. I'm going to go with Keenan Allen for sure. I think you just play the Chargers wide receivers and probably go with Manny Sanders. Hey, JJ, thank you for all the work that you do. You're welcome. Full PPR, pick 3, Emmanuel Sanders, Claypool, Bateman, Judy, Tony. I think that I feel like this is like the exact same questions one I just answered. Pick 3, I'm going to go with Tony, Emmanuel Sanders, and Claypool. Need 2 of these of these 5 full PPR, Kenyon Drake, Tim Patrick, Mooney, Bryan Edwards, or Galladay. Let's go with Galladay and Mooney for that one. Half PPR, Mooney, Bateman, or more. I'm going to go with Bateman there. Thanks for all the hard work in the pod. No problem. Full PPR, need 2 in the flex, Khalil Herbert, Bryan Edwards, Tim Patrick, Devontae Smith. Let's go with Edwards and Devontae Smith. Just don't like the other 2 situations with players coming back or being back in Jerry Jeudy's case. Half PPR, Kadarius Toney or Bateman. I'm leaning Toney there. Galladay or Mooney. Let's go with Galladay and risk it. PPR, pick 1, Landry, Manny Sanders, or Judy. Let's go with Landry. PPR, wide receiver, Waddle or Sutton. Also Peterson or Herbert or Sutton or Waddle for the flex. A lot of ors there and no commas. I'm going to go with Waddle over Sutton, and I will go with Sutton, I guess, in the flex then. Hubbard or Pollard. I'm going Pollard. PPR start 1, Judy, Tony, Claypool. I'm favored to win. Let's go with Tony. Adrian Peterson or Jeremy McNichols or Khalil Herbert. Let's go with Jeremy McNichols. I think there's going to be a negative game script. And the Rams are actually not unfriendly to running backs out of the backfield as receivers. Danny Dimes or Jacoby Brissett. Let's go Danny Dimes. Full PPR, Beasley or Mike Williams. I'm still going Mike Williams. Tight end premium, Freiermuth, Chuba Hubbard, Khalil Herbert, Rondell Moore. Let's go with Freiermuth in a tight end premium league. Galladay or Mooney. I'm going Galladay. Emmanuel Sanders or Devontae Smith. I'm going Emmanuel Sanders. Full PPR, Eli Mitchell, Edmonds, or Khalil Herbert. I'm going to go with Edmonds there. Tannehill or Love. I'm going Tannehill. Darrell Williams or Edmonds. I'm going Edmonds. Pick 2 and half PPR, Sutton, Claypool, Waddle, Tony, or risk it with Mitchell. Just answered that one. Diggs/Sanders or Jefferson/Thielen, stack and PPR. Got to go with the Minnesota guys. Had Tua for Murray. Now Ty God, Teddy, Two Gloves, Jimmy G, Dr. Love, or the Brisket. Look at all these nicknames you're just throwing out there, just throwing me off. So you had Tua for Murray. Now you can go with Tyrod Taylor. How about that? PPR start 2, Tim Patrick, Bryan Edwards, Galladay, Kenyon Drake, Mooney. I think I already answered that one. Standard League, McNichols, Herbert, or Hyde. I think I'd go McNichols there, even in standard. For flex, full PPR, Debo or Gesicki. Got to go with Debo. Start Daniel Jones, Teddy Bridgewater, or Tyrod Taylor. I'd go with Daniel Jones. PPR, wide receiver, Waddle or Sutton. I think Waddle's going to give you a higher floor, Sutton more of a ceiling, so it just depends on what you need. I think I answered this one earlier, though. Maybe I said Sutton earlier, but play both Waddle and Sutton. I already answered this one. Half PPR, Sutton or Waddle. Just answered that. Tyrod Taylor or Teddy Bridgewater. Let's go with Tyrod Taylor. Start 2, AP, Judy, Rondell Moore. I don't know how much we can trust Peterson, who's not been playing, so let's just go with Judy and Moore. Moore should get more work without DeAndre Hopkins. PPR, Devontae Booker, McNichols, Boston Scott, or Darrell Williams. I'm going with Devontae Booker there. Half PPR, Tony or Waddle. I'm going Tony. Risk playing Debo. Yes, I'd risk playing Debo. PPR pick 2, KJ Osborne, Boston Scott, Javonte Williams. Let's bench Osborne. PPR start 2, Tim Patrick. I already answered that one. Non-PPR start 2, Devontae Smith, Khalil Herbert, Javonte Williams. I am going to go with not Khalil Herbert. I think I answered that one earlier too. Would you start Ayuk over Cooks, Waddle, or Judy? Probably not. Devontae Booker versus Bobby Woods in PPR. I think Booker's the floor. Woods is more of a ceiling. Probably just play Booker though. Sutton or Waddle in full point PPR. I think Waddle's safer. Sutton has a ceiling. I think I answered that one. Pick 3 in full PPR. Robert Woods, Mike Williams, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. Answered this one earlier too. You're going to bench Devontae Smith. That's going to do it for me though. That's the last question I can get to. It's 12:30. We got Jess and Bryan hopping on here in just 1 second. But if you guys aren't already following me on Twitter, I'm on Twitter at Late Round QB. You can ask me some questions over there. But I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Definitely check out more of the stuff here on the Fanduel YouTube page. And here's Jess and Bryan. You guys do it to it.
Thanks, JJ. Appreciate it. All right, we are going to get into today's betting slate now. So we're going to switch things up first. How are you doing, Jess? How's everything going?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here and I'm excited for some football.
Well, I'm glad you're here because when we did this last week, Liv and I, wow, it was a terrible slate of games to sort of navigate through, but we're a little, we have a little more to look forward to, and the post trade deadline drama obviously will affect some of these things. But let's start here because you had some picks that I want to talk about. You had three picks, and let's see. The first one, Saints -6.5 against the Falcons. We can start there. Trevor Simeon's getting to start because we know Jameis Winston tore his ACL. Taysom Hill's going to be available in some capacity. What's giving you the confidence in the New Orleans Saints this week?
The biggest reason is looking at the Saints first. We all know that Alvin Kamara, I mean, he's a centerpiece of the Saints offense, and he is what Simeon's going to rely on. And they're going up against the Falcons, where you just look at the Falcons in general. Offensively, you have Matt Ryan, where he actually had an extremely tough matchup uh, last week with against the Panthers, and it showed. He hurt his left hand, and that also showed as well. And on top of that, we have Calvin Ridley, who's officially out. Russell Gage, he's limited. I mean, he's not 100%. And then his only matchup now is going to be Kyle Pitts. And they're going up against the Saints, where the Saints actually defensively, they're only allowing an average around 6.2 fantasy points per opposing tight ends. So that's just going to show you right there of how much his limitations are going to be. And then you just got to look at the numbers here. The Saints, their defense, they're top five all across the board with their DVOAs as well as their EPAs. And they're going up against the Falcons offense, which is bottom. They're almost, their rush DVOA is ranked 31st. Their pass EPA is ranked 20th. And then again, looking at the Falcons defense, they're also in the bottom as well. And you have the New Orleans Saints offense, which is top 10 again in passing, as well as, let's see, let me hear. I know Jameis Winston's not going to be the factor here,
Right.
but when it comes to running the ball, and like I said, Alvin Kamara. So that's why I like this game.
Over under is 43.5. Money line Saints -290, Falcons +235 if you're feeling bold there. The lines have also moved to 7, but it's the Falcons, so we'll probably we'll probably stick with the Saints on that one. Remember, guys, comments, questions. We will be taking betting questions moving forward. So if you have any, please throw them in the chat. You're welcome to become part of the show. One of your other three bets, Jess. Let's get to this. Bills, Jaguars. Bills -14.5 right now. Let's see if that line moved. Nope, still 14.5. Their money line is -1100. So if for whatever reason you want to go ahead and do that, go right ahead. The over under is 48.5. Jess, and I agree with you. You're expecting the Bills to basically be a reason that they may go over, if anything. So a blowout here, and we saw what the Jaguars did against the Seahawks last week. So, is it going to be more of the same offensively?
It's the Bills we have here. Okay, so we
Mm-hmm.
have Josh Allen, we have and company. I mean, look at all of his weapons he has. You're really not from even a fantasy point like who's going to get all the action today. I mean, we shall see, right? But I mean, overall, Josh Allen, he's thrown 2 touchdowns in 6 straight games. And the Jags, their defense DVOA is ranked dead last. So this is just going to be an easy game in a way for Allen to be able to get the ball down the field. And when it comes to running the ball, Zach Moss, I feel like he's going to also have a good game as well. And there's the Jags, where the best thing they had going for them was James Robinson being able to run the ball. And as far as I didn't get a chance to check just yet, but I know he's a game time decision. He's questionable. He has a heel injury. So, do you happen to know, is he starting? I'm not too sure, but
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're not sure yet. To your point.
yes. So that right there, that's just going to weaken the Jags offense so much more. And when you just look at the numbers again, I just look at the Jags, they're just, like I said, they're dead last. They're going up against one of the best offenses in the league. And then they're also, the Bills, what do they have? They're one of the best defenses in the league. They're literally ranked number one in almost all across the board as far as their pass DVOA, the rush DVOA. sorry, not their rush, their total EPA, their pass EPA. I mean, they're just hands down, they're one of the best teams in the league right now, going up against one of the worst teams in the league. So it's just an easy win for the Bills for me.
And your third one, this one's going to get a lot of attention for a lot of reasons this week. But we have Packers Chiefs in Kansas City. Jordan Love's first start, and we all know why, I'm sure. Because, Aaron Rodgers will not be playing this game. It's his first missed start in a while. You went over because citing their two poor defenses, which, I don't blame you there. For those wondering, spread, Packers are getting +7 in Kansas City. Their money line is +265, Chiefs -330. The over-under is 48.5. Jess is going over here, and I'm inclined to agree because these are not great defensive teams. The Chiefs have been not like themselves this year. We're not getting a great version of Patrick Mahomes. He's been among the league leaders in interceptions all season long. And Jordan Love is making his first start. Two things here, I guess. The over, why? Is it just the defenses? And, Jordan Love, that means you're expecting him to have a decent game at the very least in what's going to be his first career start, no?
I do. He's had a year and a half now to be able to study and learn under one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I feel like Matt LaFleur, he has a game plan ready to go for Love to be able to come out and be able to face the Chiefs, keep up with the Chiefs offense, as well as he has a great matchup here. He's going up against a terrible defense. So this is a great opportunity for him to get his feet wet. And, he's surrounded by a bunch of weapons, which is a great thing too, when it comes to, for them to be able to rely on running the ball, when it comes to, their wide receivers and Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard, he's playing, MBS is back this week. I mean, so Love is just surrounded by lots of love in that way. And you have the Chiefs where, Patrick Mahomes, he's everyone's talking about this is just, he's just slipping. He looks so bad. But when you kind of look at his numbers though, he's still averaging 5.8 yards per attempt. And this is going to be the game, or at least I think this is going to be the game where he's going to be able to bounce back. He's going to have his connections with his boys. It's Tyreek Hill, Hardman, right, Kelsey. And again, this is a great matchup where he is going up against a bad defense. So this could be the opportunity where it's going to be a bounce back game. And, finally it's like, oh, Mahomes looks good. And that's why I like the over in this game. Just keep getting the ball down the field and scoring touchdowns on both sides of the field. I'm cool with that.
All right, let's hit some of these other games as we get closer to that 1 o'clock time. Thank you to Daylight Savings Time, by the way, for coming through. Oh, boy, I took advantage of that this morning. Houston Texans, Miami Dolphins, not a great game record-wise. I mean, these two teams are not very good. Two of the worst teams we've seen in the NFL so far. And news just broke recently that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be out because he has a fractured finger, which I don't know how much that's going to actually affect the betting in terms of this because the gap between him and Jacoby Brissett is unlike some of what we've seen in other quarterback rooms. That being said, I think this is a very interesting game to bet on because both of these teams are in the positions they're in. Tyrod Taylor is going to play a factor in this. He's starting for the Texans. Texans are +4 in Miami. Their money line +168, and the over-under is 45.5. I mean, how do we feel looking at this with Tua absent? Do we think it makes a big difference, Jess?
I do. So I'd lean Texans now. I kind of like even money line, especially with Tyrod Taylor being back. It's just Miami. As much as you see all the Miami fans, see how clearly I'm a Miami fan in the background here. However, with Tua being out, I think that's it's a struggle because as much as he did struggle last week against the Bills. However, previously before that, he's thrown 6 touchdowns where Brissett really hasn't performed that well. And as bad as the Texans are, I still feel like Tyrod Taylor back is going to be a huge advantage for them.
Broncos Cowboys will keep it going here. Broncos Cowboys. Broncos are getting +9.5 in Dallas. Dallas has not lost a home game yet this season, and they've won 6 straight games to this point. Their over/under for this game is 50. Obviously, a lot of money is coming in on the Dallas Cowboys, and the Broncos have a +360 money line. If you have the courage to sort of take that upset here, look, for good reason, I would probably stick with the Cowboys here, but I wouldn't win a lot of money doing so. So would you be able to present the case for me, Jess, why I should actually lean on Teddy Two Gloves and the Broncos to pull off this upset, or the Cowboys is going to keep things going at home?
I don't know. I think this is a trap game. It's quite possible the Broncos will win outright. He has a third best QB he's the third best quarterback in the league right now when you look at his numbers and everything. So I don't know, as much as everyone's high, of course, on the Cowboys, I'm with you on that. I don't know. I'm staying away from this game.
Well, I mean, look, that's probably the case to stay away, if anything, because if you're gonna put money on the Cowboys, you might as well not, because all the favorites are slanted in their favor. We're gonna keep it going with the Vikings and the Ravens at this point, right? Vikings and Ravens, another one of these 1 o'clock games is really interesting. The Vikings have been kind of up and down this year, and the Ravens, we'll see what happens come playoff time. But for now, they've had a respectable regular season. The Vikings +7, 245 on the money line, over under 51.5, which pretty high, but Kirk Cousins can have that big game every now and then on the road, and we'll see what happens with the Ravens. The Ravens are at home. Jess, what do you see from this game? Is this another stay away from you, or do you sort of like to pull yourself in one direction here?
I'd lean the Ravens in this game, actually, if I was to pick a side. Yes, I agree with you. The Vikings, they have totally been up and down this season. And it's like Kirk Cousins, he either has an explosive game or he has a bust game. And when you look at the numbers here where he's going up against, the defense for the Ravens, they're middle of the road here. They're kind of the bottom of the road, actually. Their pass DVOA is 23rd. Their pass EPA is 21, and then you have the Minnesota their offense, though, they're the ones that are like middle of the road, realistically. And like what I mentioned about him. And then you have the Baltimore's offense where you have Lamar, where, he's thrown for 235 passing yards in all but one game this season. And so he has a tough matchup where he is facing the Vikings defense, where they're ranked 4th in DVOA when it comes to the pass. But when it comes to being able to run the ball, that's where they have an advantage here. Their Minnesota's defense rush DVOA is ranked 20th. So this is the time for Lamar to shine with his legs, as well as getting their running backs to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, and they've been able to just pick running backs up and actually get great production out of them. And part of that is probably because Lamar Jackson's a constant threat just in the run PO game, which they run a lot. And yeah, I mean, I think that the Ravens are going to have potentially a big offensive game, to your point. New England versus Carolina in Carolina. Now, I still have this image. I'm up here in New York. I still have this image of Sam Darnold a couple weeks ago playing against the Giants and getting benched in the fourth quarter after, a game that they were still in technically. You know what I mean? They weren't technically out of the water yet, but, it hasn't been a great season for the Carolina Panthers after an early 3-0 start where the defense was really carrying them. And now they just haven't had as much success lately. The New England Patriots have been kind of up and down. Both of these teams are right now middle of the road and fighting for playoff spots. They're both in contention right now. Patriots -3.5 favorites. And the over-under here, one of the lower ones of the week, maybe the lowest, 41.5. So we're expecting a defensive showdown here, Jess. Who do you like? Are you rolling with Sam Darnold and the Panthers, or Mac Jones and the Patriots?
I'm rolling with Mac Jones and the Patriots on this one. I like it. I like it more than Sam Darnold. He's disappointed me too many times so far this season. I swear, I've been on the Panthers for quite a few weeks here, and they always seem to disappoint. But as far as the Patriots go, I think this is a great matchup. Yes, he is going up. Mac Jones is really going to have to play smart because he's going up against a really tough defense. I mean, when you look at their numbers here, their pass defensively, their pass EPA is their number 3. So Mac Jones is going to have to play smart. Bill Belichick is going to have a game plan ready for him to go to be able to play smart, to get the ball down the field smoothly. And then, they have to rely on their run game, which again, it's going to be a tough matchup, but we've seen Damian Harris do amazing things. He scored 4 straight touchdowns in the last 4 games. So, and their Panthers rush DVOA is ranked 19th. So this will benefit them. And as far as the Panthers go, yeah, Sam Darnold being benched last week. He's also he has a shoulder issue. So, the best thing, CMC's back. So that's going to be
Right.
that's
Yeah.
going to be their advantage going into this game. That's going to be their game plan going into this game. And I think Bill's going to be ready for that. And he's going to figure out a way to be able to stop CMC. And from what I was even reading about too, with him starting, they're even saying it's possible that he's going to be limited as well. So how much are we even really going to see of him?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. Christian McCaffrey's back. If anybody's going to be equipped to try to stop him, coaching wise, it will be Bill Belichick. So, I mean, look, that also is a reason why you may want to take that under for 41.5, as low as that may be, especially in the modern NFL. We did Bills Jaguars already, and honestly, the Jaguars don't deserve that much time. So we're going to go to the Browns and the Bengals. This to me is definitely one of the most interesting matchups that we have this week. Because both of these teams, again, fighting for their playoff lives. We expected a lot out of the Browns this year, and it's kind of been a roller coaster. And now Odell Beckham is not there, and Baker Mayfield's playing hurt, and perhaps will be playing hurt for the remainder of the season with shoulder injury. How is not having Odell Beckham there and not sort of having that linger over his head? How much is that going to help him? And then with the Bengals, they've been deadly with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, even like what's going to happen here. So the over under 47.5, pretty high. But honestly, I think that can be an easy over depending on how this goes. The Browns are getting +1.5 in the money line for them, +108. Bengals -126. I feel like this could be a toss-up in a lot of ways, and these lines sort of reflect that. The Fanduel lines sort of reflect that, Jess. So how do we feel about Browns at Bengals? This is one of the premier 1:00 games that we're getting today.
In this matchup, I would lean Browns. It's really not a play for me. It's not one of my favorite ones. It's just like you were talking about. I just, it could go both ways in all honesty. You have, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals, where the best thing that's going for them is their defense. They look really good. When it comes to their total EPA is ranked 7th, as well as their total DVOA is ranked 13th. And they are going up against the Cleveland Browns, like you mentioned, where, Baker, he's clearly not 100%. He is dealing with some injury issues. He's only thrown 6 touchdowns this year. But this could be a great game for him. It's a great matchup. And then the best thing they have to lean on, of course, is their run game. Nick Chubb, he has at least 83 rushing yards in all but one game so far in the season, and he's going up against the defense, which is ranked 10th in rush DVOA. So this could be it's going to, in my opinion, it's probably going to be a back and forth bounce back, but I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
I'm wondering for the rest of the season if we can just stay with Odell Beckham real quick, because he's obviously not going to be a part of this, and we don't know where he's going to end up. Any number of teams, we're already seeing reports, as we expected, like, he wants to play on a contender, and, why would he not at this stage of his career? Not that it's very late or whatever, but he obviously wants to be part of a championship winning team. But I'm wondering, even though Baker Mayfield's going to be playing hurt for, maybe the rest of the season, is not having Odell there going to calm him down a little bit? Because their relationship didn't seem great, and people were talking about, is he trying to force things to him or not really, throw the ball at him at all? I think 1 or 2 games ago, Odell Beckham had 1 target. So is not having him in the locker room at all, do you think that's going to, help Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns moving forward in terms of just, their preparation? And how is that going to affect, betting on them moving forward throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it really could. We at the end of the day, we don't really know what's going on in those locker rooms, but when stuff gets said and kind of, we hear this side story and this side of the story, it's quite possible that there's tension in there. And when there's someone leaves and you're able to maybe focus a little bit better and be able to have, now be able to go into a game and not be stressed out about making sure a specific player gets so many touches and things like that, it really could benefit him. And we'll only be able to see. And Jarvis Landry's back, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. It's just, those could be the guys now. Especially Peoples-Jones is going to be stepping in for Odell's position basically, and we'll see how well he does with that. And at the end of the day, what we know that the Browns love to do, they love to run the ball, and that's what they're good at. And Baker Mayfield, I think that the fact that he's not looking as hot as he was last season is because of his injury, and maybe it is mentally as well. So we'll just have to see how it really ends up happening in these next. Great thing is, it's like we have so many more games left.
Yeah, it's very true. And he comes off of, I think, waivers Tuesday, I believe. So we'll probably have a decision on that next week. I think Baltimore is a team to definitely look out for there. Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham, that would be a lot of fun. Okay, keeping it moving with the 1:00 games. Speaking of Odell, his former team, the New York Giants, they're hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. Over under 46.5. Giants are getting +3 here. A couple wins this season. One against the Carolina Panthers, we mentioned. That was a couple weeks ago. Daniel Jones actually looked pretty good there. The Ravens -146 on the money line. Giants +124. Jess, how are we feeling about this one? Giants are at home. Raiders, they've gone through some stuff this year. You know what I mean? It's been a lot of adversity this year, but they've somewhat responded. And then, we've seen a couple other things recently with Henry Ruggs in particular, who has since been waived after his situation. So, Giants Raiders. I mean, what are we expecting in the Meadowlands today?
This is probably a stay away game for me, honestly. But if I was to pick a side, I'd probably lean the Giants. It's kind of an even matchup in a way when you look at their numbers. I mean, you have, yes, Derek Carr, who is looking pretty good this season, and he is going up against a defense that is, I feel like they have good games and then they have bad games. But when you look at the stats, their pass EPA is ranked 20th, as well as their pass DVOA, though, is ranked 11th. So I feel like it's this could be the game where Carr does well. And now he has, with Ruggs, though, with those explosive plays and Ruggs being gone, that's really helped the Raiders that we saw be able to get the ball down the field. Now, the Giants, though, they're dealing with injuries too, but at the same time, Daniel Jones has really proven himself to be a good quarterback this year. And like I said, it's kind of a stay away game for me, though. At the end of the day, I don't know. I could rave about the Giants, and then the Raiders end up going in there and blowing them out. I'm not too sure though.
Yeah, absolutely. Chargers at Eagles now, and this is one where the Giants would obviously be pulling for the Chargers here, but this was a tough one. Chargers got off to a good start this year and haven't quite been as sharp, the last couple of weeks. They're still -1, very narrow favorites. This is nearly a 50-50 game if you're looking at this on Fanduel right now. Chargers -1, Eagles +1. Money line -106 for the Chargers, -110 for the Eagles, who are at home. Over under is 49.5. So we're expecting, potentially a 50-point game more or less here. Are we expecting a bounce back from the Chargers, who, they can use a big offensive performance against the Eagles team where, in terms of betting, they've probably been a big stay away for a lot of people because they're very unpredictable so far this year. So, Jess, how are we feeling about Chargers at Eagles today?
Yeah, if I was to pick a side, I'd honestly lean the Eagles in this game because, I'm just like you were mentioning about Herbert and just the Chargers in general. It's just hard. You just don't really know. And then you have the Eagles where, Jalen Hurts, he had a terrible game last week, but I feel like this is a perfect bounce back because what have we seen Hurts do? Use his legs this season and his speed. And again, what are they going up against? The Chargers, who can't stop the run at all. And they also have Boston Scott, he scored twice last week too, and he is going to be, again, going up against a defense that can't stop the run. And I just feel like the Eagles in general, that's just been what they've been able to do, is how they've been able to get the ball down the field is by using their legs. And we also see with Ertz gone, now Goddard is stepping in to the role, and he's playing his chemistry with Hurts is also looking really good too. Now the Chargers, this Herbert, this could be a bounce back game for him. He's been struggling the past couple weeks, but the defense, it's middle of the road that he's going up against, and I don't know. At the end of the day, this might, I don't know. Yeah.
Let's see. All right, we have now this one. I have a couple notes on because there's like real-time stuff happening here, but Arizona Cardinals, if you're on the East Coast, they are legends in the 4:30, 4 o'clock window because they're just on here all the time. Arizona Cardinals are playing against the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. Now, Cardinals finally lost recently. Kyler Murray, ankle injury, DeAndre Hopkins, hamstring injury. Adam Schefter says that they're both questionable. They're going to warm up and sort of gauge where they are. Keep in mind that Colt McCoy, who's still in the league, still getting these checks, is backup to Kyler Murray. So he would actually play if Kyler Murray can't go. DeAndre Hopkins, it appeared based on the report that they're a little bit less optimistic about running him out there today. So we'll see how that affects them. They're in San Francisco, plus 4.5 for the Cardinals, and the money line plus 184. 49ers minus 220. Over under 44.5. I mean, that line sort of tells me that, they're expecting the injuries to be a factor on the sports book. So, Jess, how are we feeling about Cardinals at 49ers? Because there's so much uncertainty as far as what we're going to see from Arizona today and who we're going to see from Arizona today.
Yeah, with all that news with Murray and Hopkins, I jumped on the Niners because of it. So I'm going with the Niners on this game. I like it. Jimmy G, I know he's kind of been unpredictable, but at the same time, this should be a game that he should be able to step up with, just with their advantage of what's going on with the Cardinals. When it comes to being able for them to be able to run the ball, this is their opportunity. Yes, I know that the Cardinals defensively are, one of the best in the league right now. But this it's a home game. They could use this to their advantage. The fact that they could just use their weapons with the fact that the Cardinals have lost now, and now two of their best players are out and possibly, not even going to be playing. And yeah, that's why I like it.
We're going to the primetime games now. Sunday Night Football, Titans at Rams. And the Titans right now, without Derrick Henry, we'll see how that goes. But they have the longest winning streak in the AFC, 4 straight wins. But again, they're not going to have their best player moving forward. The Rams now have Von Miller, who I believe is actually questionable for this game. But, they're obviously in win now mode. They have the home game here and -7 favorites against Tennessee, despite that winning streak. And that says a lot about Derrick Henry's impact and just how, reliable the Rams have sort of been so far this year. -320 on the money line for the Rams. Titans plus 265. Over under 52.5. Jess, what do you say here?
I like the Rams in this game. The biggest reason is, of course, look at Matthew Stafford. He's playing extremely well this year. He looks so good. And his EPA and CPOE he's number 1 in the league right now. And of course, he has his amazing weapons that he works with. Cooper Kupp, he has at least 115 yards and a touchdown in the last 3 games. And they're going up against the Titans defense that has given up 12 touchdowns and the second most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this season. And that the biggest upset with the Titans is Derrick Henry being out. And as good as the Titans looked, and Ryan Tannehill, yes, and A.J. Brown, however, that was their offense. That was their main offense. And, I mean, he was scoring, almost 3 touchdowns almost every game.
Right.
I mean, he was just he's amazing. It's so unfortunate that we don't even get to watch him anymore this season.
Yeah.
It's so sad. However, trade in the best running back in the league to watch now the best quarterback in the league right now to be on fire. And like I said, he has all his weapons. They're going to be able to run the ball too. You're not going to be able to stop the Rams offense going up against this mediocre Titans defense, as much as they have been looking so hot these past couple weeks.
And to your point, Derrick Henry may have been the league MVP at the time of his injury. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully we will see him back later in the year, because it looks like the Titans are probably going to win that division and make it to the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there if he can come back. Monday Night Football. This is the lowest over-under of the week, and for good reason. We have the Chicago Bears at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is where we're going to end here, Jess. Plus 6.5 going to the road. Bears plus 240 on the money line, minus 295 with the Steelers. The over-under, 38.5, the lowest of the week. And that is not great for Monday Night Football, perhaps, unless you're into defense. So, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger sort of is what he is at this point, but that should be enough to take care of Justin Fields and the Bears. We'll see. Jess, I mean, is this one that you even want to bet on?
I always end up making a play Monday, but I'm not worrying about this game today. It's just because the matchup and everything is just not worth my time just yet. But if I was to pick a side so far, I'm definitely leaning on the Steelers. Yeah, I mean, I know Big Ben, he's only thrown 2 touchdowns this season. However, he is facing a defense that's ranked 21st in pass DVOA. So we should rely on him to be able to dink and dunk the ball down the field. And then, of course, rely on Najee Harris, who's been able to just really be explosive these last last few weeks. He's actually has 140 yards or a touchdown in the last 6 straight games. So that just goes to show you how this rookie is finally being able to click with this offense and being able to use his strengths, and it's showing out on the field for the Steelers. Also, Deontay Johnson, he's also seen double-digit targets in all but 1 game this season, and there's also Chase Claypool. So, I mean, Ben has the weapons, they do. And then you look at their defense, they also they're middle of the road, really, and they're going up against the Chicago's offense, which, of course, like you mentioned, Justin Fields, he's definitely just showing his rookie ways, and that's the Steelers should use that to their advantage, and they should be able to, put the pressure on him and have him cause mistakes.
And there you have it. That's the slate for this week. We'll see what happens next week, but definitely a lot of interesting games now because we're at that midway point in the season. Playoffs are coming and, they'll be here soon. Thanksgiving football's around the corner. So there's a lot to look forward to as far as the NFL goes. That is Jess. You can follow her at Gridiron and Wine on Twitter and I believe Instagram as well. You can follow me at Bryan Fonseca NY on Twitter and Instagram. NY is in New York. Bryan with a Y because I'm Puerto Rican. You already know. And we have obviously all of our Fanduel platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow Fanduel. Follow Fanduel Sportsbook. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Enjoy the games, and we'll be back next week with more, NFL betting talk. So take care.